Alright, g'day, hello and welcome. So, I'm sorting out my books again. Can't wait till I get a bookshelf. I get them off the floor. Sorting them out by author. I can't believe how many, you just grab books at random. You don't really realize how many times you grab books that are, I've got multiple authors. And I'm sure every time I go through it, I'm going to find, oh, hey, I already got two of that. So these are all authors where I have two books from her. A book I can't wait to get into next is that one there, that Revenge. I got two books from her. I got like five books from him, 4 or 5 books from him, 4 or 5 books from him. Got a couple of Born Identity books in there. Got 4 or 5 from him. Got a couple of Tom Clancy. So I got some pretty popular books, but there was a couple of books I got in there. I was like, oh, I didn't know I had that, because I just grabbed them fast and it didn't dawn on me the titles, right? So, yeah, so it's I don't know which my next book reading is going to be, but where I'm at with my books, that's good. That's a good collection. There's over 100 books. Now, I'm not counting this stuff. This is stuff I've read years ago. That's the nonfiction kind of section right there. Um, got the cover of my book kind of loosely. I don't think you guys can make out the details of it or whatever, but it's just a rough drawing, whatever. I'm gonna have to start working on that pretty soon. Yeah, so these books here, there's my Panhead manual, there's my flight manual, stuff like that. Those books are the nonfiction books so far. There's survival manuals and stuff like that in there. That's the kind of nonfiction that I've read. Getting into this book, ooh, the plot has thickened. I got to tell you about it a bit. I'm tossed on this book. I'm going to be taking off in a few minutes, so got things ready to go. So I'm tossed on this book, whether it's going to be my second favorite book. I definitely know it's not going to be my first favorite. I got about 140 pages left to go, and it's really, really, really good. That's where I'm at. I'm going to be changing my reading strategy for the month of March because I really want to get as many books finished as I can. Because I know in April I'll be back full work again, and hopefully I'll start shearing stuff off there once the winter's gone. Like, this is my natural scarf. Everybody's, Reg, you're starting to look pretty rough. Yeah, I know. There's been all the abominable Bigfoot and snowman and Yeti sightings in my area as of recent. Sorry, guys, it's just me. It's just me with my goggles on. I look like the Planet of the Apes guy with the goggles on there. Everybody's like, your my toque there, it blends in with my beard. I say, yeah, it's camouflage. Yeah, there we go. But anyway, but very good book, very twisted plot in it so far. Don't know how it's going to end. It's going to be good either way. Really recommend that book. It's not really a crime novel in the sense of you start off, you know who did it, right? So you're going to know who did it right away. It's more of how do you catch this maniac, right? So it has, although it's nothing at all, the stories are nothing at all alike. But there's a crossover of, you ever see that movie No Country for Old Men? The psycho hitman guy, I can never think of that actor's name. Where he's, call it, heads or tails, and he goes around with the freaking pig slaughtering air hammer thing there. Yeah, it's like the killer's kind of like that kind of vibe, cold and calculated, but it's totally different. It's totally different, but it kind of makes me think of that. Like, it's that kind of where this guy's out there. Like, we know who he is, but the people trying to catch him don't know who he is. Yeah, so it's like that. But there's a couple of interesting twists in there. It's very, very interesting the way the stories turned out. Not what I expected at all. It's sort of, okay, Bride Collector kind of gives you an idea of what the book's about, from a crime point of view, but like the how and the who and plot twists and stuff like that. Very, very, very good. Very, very good. So it's going to be between that for the number 2 spots of favorite books read. It's either going to be the Drowned Cities. The Drowned Cities, I think, is just in the league because it's how much I enjoy the book. I mean, you got two completely different stories. So the Drowned Cities, I think I still enjoyed that a little bit more than this, but I don't know. It's been good the whole way through, but it's with 130 pages left to go. Where they're at, they're like at where a book would normally end, and it's like, okay, it's just getting really good now. So there's 130 pages left to go. So something really crazy has to happen because that's a long way to the finish line. You know, it's like about 430 pages or whatever. So it's like that far from the finish line, and they're at this point in the story where it would normally be where the story would end. So like I don't know which way they're going to take it. I have a couple of suspicions. You know, we'll see. Because again, it's always about picking up details. And at the back of the book, I just when I looked at the book, I made sure I didn't read the last page. I don't want to spoil the book, right? But I have a couple of hunches of what's actually going on, and then on the other hand, they have like a bunch of spots in the book, a bunch of blank pages. And I think that's like for notes and stuff. Some books are like that where they leave you a couple of blank pages for notes. So, you know, see if you can figure it out yourself, you know, like what's really going on. I don't know. I've never been one of those people that would write in a book. I'm like, I'd read the book. If I like, there are people like that. They read a book and they write details down so they don't forget them. But I guess it depends on how you read the book. If you read the book in a relatively quick time, I don't think you need to do that. But I know people like that. My sister never did that. She'd just read a book and leave the bookmark in it and go. But I think one of her friends was like that. She had all those little tabs, you know, those little clear tabs. Yeah, you know, tabbed in. So she'd be flipping back and forth through the book just to figure. I guess it depends on how your brain's wired and how you perceive information. I'm kind of very linear, where it's just like follow it from beginning to end. Don't jump around or I'll get confused. Where for me, I'll just retain the information of the entire story. You know, I might not be able to give you like word for word quotes, but I can tell you exactly what the story's about from beginning to end. Because I read for comprehension, not for speed. But I did read 50 pages out of it today, so that's good. So for March, what I'm going to do, what me's going to do is take my book reading down from 17 books. Like once I finish that, I'll be down to 16 books. Once I finish my book, I'll be down to 15 books left to read, right? That I'm currently going, like I got 100 and some odd books to read, but in my roster that I'm reading right now, I'm reading like 2 pages per book. But what I'm going to do is like the first 3 weeks of the month, I will read 2 pages out of each book in my pile here, okay, just to keep the stories going, and focus more attention on the like the Bible is just 2 pages every day. So that gets priority every day, no matter what, until I finish that. That's like 1,200 some odd pages. It's going to take me years to finish that. But I don't care how long it takes me to finish it, right? But the top 2 books I'll read, like, say, 10 pages out of one and 20 to 30 pages out of the other. So I'll have a total of at least 40 pages read out of the 2 main books, and then 2 pages read out of everything else. And eventually, you know, like that's 60 pages a month per book, right? So if you got 10 books going, 60 pages a month doesn't sound like much, but you know, and then I'll do a 1 week where I'll read 10 pages out of every book, just to kind of like hurry things along. But once I get through this batch of 17, like I'll like, well, basically March on, as soon as the weather starts getting even a bit warm, I'm going to be probably working, so I won't be able to devote that much time to my recordings and my and the books and stuff like that. But I'm going to still keep collecting books until I get to a number where it's like, okay, well, I got no more like, you know, I got to stay within reason of what I can read. But you know, if I'm getting free books, like I got 100 and some odd free books, you know what I mean? Like, I'll read them as fast as I can. And again, I know there's going to be a lot of books where I'm going to start reading and it's like, okay, oh, this is one of those romantic-y things. I just really don't want those, right? And stuff like that. But I do want to, you know, like I do think I'm picking some really good books. It's just some are going to be better written than others. Some are going to like more than others. And I'm not going to keep all these books, right? As I read them, I'm not going to keep The Bride Collector. And obviously, Sword of Kagan was a gift. But I would keep that whether it was a gift or not, because so far it's my number one book. It's kind of, I guess technically you say it's my first fantasy book that I've read, like real fantasy book that I've read. So I can't say it's the best fantasy book on the market, but I can say it's just a really good book for what it is. Like the way it goes is the number one position right now is the Sword of Kagan. Number two position is the Drowned Cities. Number three position is EVE Templar 1 for like stories that I like the best. And after that, it's The Outsiders, and then Christine, then either Rumblefish or The Black Stallion. I would like to get the book The Black Stallion again because I remember reading it as a kid. And then after that, it's either Tex, Mask, or That Was Then, This Was Now, or Rumblefish, I guess. I already said that. And then after that, it's Treason and Triumph. Then after that, it's the Blood Red Road, where I restarted my book journey last November. So the book I started with is in dead last for like enjoyment of the story. It doesn't mean the book wasn't good. It just means, well, I'm probably not going to follow up with the other two books. The problem that I might have with some of these authors, I might have a whole bunch of like a series, and I might have like book 1 and book 7 and book 2, that kind of thing. So I got to figure out what order to read them in, and I also got to figure out, which series I'm going to read, and if it's a series, am I going to actually, like keep a series on? Because a series can take up all your book reading time when there's so many books to read, right? Like I say, I'm going to get to a point, maybe when I get about 200 to 400 books, I'll just say, okay, that's it, no more books until I get through them. Unless I see something that is like, okay, I just have to have that book, then I'll get it, and what have you. I would like to find a faster way to read while taking it. Like I can read faster, but I can't take it in faster. So that's why is what it is. But I'm going to more concentrate on the top priority books. So that way, as long as I can finish at least one book a month, I would be happy with that. 2's not too bad. That'd be 24 books a year. That wouldn't be too bad, 2 books a month. But I'd like to read more than that if I can. But I don't want to spend my entire life reading. I got stuff to do. I know once the weather gets better and I'm outside, like I'm going to start working on the motorcycle. Probably, I would imagine at the end of March when it starts. It'll be too cold to really work on it, but at least I can work on it on my my veranda / garage. I'm gonna, in March I'm gonna have to, start working on the whippersnippers and cleaning up my chainsaws and stuff like that. That all takes time too, right? So do a little bit each day, but I do want to see if I can get that bike up and running good. I'm at the point where I've already tested the fire, I've tested everything. I don't have a compression gauge. I wish I did, but I'm at the point where I could probably test all the injectors again. I did it once, but I got to do it again, and I'm sure if I'm lucky, it's just a dead injector in that bike. But if it's not the injector and the injectors all function, then it's either a computer problem or dreaded valve problem. You never know. Like when you get a collapsed valve, like like once I take the head cover off the bike, I'll know whether there's a collapsed valve there or not. Usually, what happens is a spring breaks, right? But the problem is it depends on how the spring breaks. So maybe the valve is just staying closed or whatever, and everything else is functioning. But that could also lead to a piece of spring, shrapneling around the head, and then that's it. Your whole top end is screwed, right? So if I get that bike running good and it's just an clogged injector, then I'll get it up and running for nothing. But I'll need a battery and a safety again, and I'll have to get tires and new chain and all that. But I also have to fix the speedo mechanism on the bike because it basically I broke it. which is Triumphs are known for that. So like anything, it's just a little, it's just a little pin, just a tiny little pin that breaks. I don't think it's like in your on the wheel. There's like a little hub, and then the speedo cable goes into that, and that little wheel, it basically as it spins, okay, it there's a little cog gear in there, and there's a little pin in there. That pin's what breaks, or starts to deteriorate or whatever, and then suddenly your speedometer is like you're doing 100 kilometers an hour, but it's showing you're doing 15, or then it goes to 28, then it goes to 207. Like it's all over the place just because it free, almost like free spools, but at sporadic speeds. Um, so if you get like a wonky speed, like your speedo is going up and down like that, sometimes that's what it is. And if it's not that, then it's the actual unit itself, which is also known to have some problems with it back then. And the only thing you do is just replace it, and then it's a gamble whether it works again. Like I typically know how fast I'm going most of the time, so just by the gear I'm in and the RPM. So I can live without a speedo, but I can't pass the safety without the speedo. So and you should have one anyway, just for safety's sake. So anyway, yeah, that's what I got going on there. I guess I'm gonna head back home. I do some laundry probably tomorrow night. I got to call some people tonight, see if I'm working this weekend. I know I'm working tomorrow night. That's why I did my Friday ritual today. I'm going to read a bit more tonight, try to finish up my own book. I'd like to finish it at least by the end of February, which is another 2 to 3 days. So I've got 3 days to finish that book, 3 days to finish the other one. So what I'll do when I come down here tomorrow, I'll put another push on that. I'll start the drum thing. I'm not going to record tomorrow just because I won't be down here long. Like I'll have to be ready to go for 3 o'clock to go to the school to work, or 2 o'clock or whatever it is. I'll call my buddy tonight and see exactly what time he's going to pick me up at and all that. And then I got to call the other guy to see if I'm going to be doing the roof or not. My body says no, I don't want to do it, but my bank account says get your ass to work. Yeah, it's always like that. It's kind of how it is. Yeah, it calls the shots, not me. But this shoulder, I guess it's from the snow scoop. Yeah, the other day. It's right in the rotator cuff there. It's like I felt it last night. It's like I'm in that mode again. And I'm starting to feel the burn in my leg again, so it's like my sciatic nerve, I think, is starting to act up. But like it is what it is. Like you stiffen up. Like I find in the wintertime, you just stiffen up so much. Like it's just, you know. So once you get over the age of 50, you really got to start stretching and doing stuff like that, and doing like stuff to relieve your sciatic nerves and stuff like that. I know for a good while there, my sciatic nerve was just killing me. My back was killing me, everything like that. Last past 2 years, it went on for like a year and a half before it finally let up there, and then I haven't been too bad, but I'm sore all the time. Like it's just that's what brute labor does to you. Is it just wears you out. Like you can't do it forever. Like you think you're so invincible when you're like 20, 30 years old, but trust me, you're going to feel it when you get older. And it doesn't get easier year after year. It's just like just stepping around, you get sore. Like it's and then of course when you got like 4 feet of snow on your door, you got to climb out of your house. Yeah, is what it is what it is. You power through it, but at some point I'm not going to be able to. Like I'm just going to be too I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to that point where I can't work anymore, but I don't know. I guess I'll just die. Like, what else do you do, right? Yeah, because it's like, like that's the downside to small towns is that the only way you can work. There's always work, but the work is all brute labor. Like there's just no easy, cushy jobs. I mean, there's a couple, but the people get those. They don't give those up right away. Like somebody gets an office job at the town hall. They're usually there for like 20, 30 years. It's like they're not stupid, right? It's like, okay, we're close to home. In climate controlled building, I'm not going to screw that up. I mean, some people will screw stuff like that up, but typically they don't. So very low turnover rate on stuff like that. But everything else, yeah, just yeah, it is what it is. All right, so I guess I'm gonna get my ass back up home and do that. Oh, maybe relax a bit up there too, and then yeah, that'll be uh, that'll be what Mies is going to do. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Ugh. All right, have a good one.